Thank you all for your interest in the New Jersey State Council on the Arts Individual Artist Fellowships. Before we get started, I do just want to point out that we have live captioning for today's presentation. Thank you to our live captioner, Robin. To enable the closed captioning, you can display the captions by clicking the CC icon at the bottom of the controls on Zoom there. So my name is Jackie Dominis. My pronouns are they, them, or she, her, and I'm the program director of fellowships at Mid-Atlantic Arts. I'm currently zooming in from South Jersey, the ancestral territory of the Lenape people. I'm also very happy to be joined today by Steph Nurback from the Jersey State Council on the Arts, as well as my colleague at Mid-Atlantic Arts, Steph Reyes. I will let Steph Reyes introduce herself real quick.
Hi everyone, I'm Steph Regis, Program Associate for Fellowships and International here at Mid-Atlantic Arts. I'm zooming in from the traditional homelands of the Algonquian people, also known as Springfield, Massachusetts right now. For Spanish-speaking applicants, I wanted to just say que pueden contactarme por email con cualquier pregunta en español o pueden llamarme. Mi email es sreyes@midatlanticarts.org.
Thank you, Steph. So Mid-Atlantic Arts administers the application submission, review, and post-award process on behalf of the New Jersey State Council on the Arts through an ongoing partnership. This webinar is designed to help you better understand the Individual Artist Fellowships program and help guide you through the application process with Mid-Atlantic Arts SmartSimple application system. So today we're going to review the eligibility and application requirements, and then we'll actually pull up the application and provide a demonstration on how to use the online system. We anticipate that the presentation portion of the webinar will last about an hour, and then we'll spend some time answering questions at the end. This webinar, sorry, no, you're good. This webinar is intended to help applicants gain a better understanding of the program and its requirements, but is not intended as a substitution for the program rules and instructions, which are available in both English and Spanish on the New Jersey State Council on the Arts and Mid-Atlantic Arts websites. As I mentioned, Steph Nurback will be one of our co-presenters for today. So before we begin the presentation, I just want to invite Steph to say a few words about the State Arts Council and the program.
Surely. Thanks, Jackie. Hello, everybody. So good afternoon. I'm Steph Nurback, the Artist Services Manager at the New Jersey State Council on the Arts. I am so happy to be here with our partners at Mid-Atlantic Arts for this application assistance webinar. The State Arts Council acknowledges the diverse and abundant talent of the artists in our state, and each year we renew our excitement for this extraordinary fellowship program. With a recent increase in the council's investment in this program, we've shifted from a 3-year cycle to a 2-year cycle, offering a rotation of 6 and 7 disciplines per cycle. So artists, that means you can apply more frequently. And thankfully, the council has also been able to award a greater number of artists at higher award amounts. So last year, a record number of 160 artists received awards ranging from the finalist tier of funding at $3,850 and up to the top tier of $31,000. So that's part of the reason for the excitement. There are other ways that the council supports artists, including professional development, opportunities, public arts inclusion, and the folk and traditional arts programming made available every year. So to learn more about what the council does in terms of programs and services for arts and arts organizations, you can visit our website. I'll go ahead and just throw that in the chat for you all. Also, if you are not on the State Arts Council's Artist Services mailing list, please consider adding yourself. You will receive our opportunities for the field newsletter and updates on our professional development series called The Business of Being an Artist, and many other opportunities for artists in New Jersey. I'll put our latest issue of opportunities for the field in the chat. And in that newsletter, you'll see a link to add yourself to the mailing list. What else can I tell you? You can reach out to me directly, or you can, give me a call. You can send me an email. You might even be able to find me on social media. I try to be very responsive, and I'm always excited to talk to artists. So don't hesitate to reach out. Before I turn it back over, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to our Mid-Atlantic super partners, Jackie and Steph, for their tireless work on this fellowship program and for their commitment to providing responsive assistance to New Jersey artists. And I applaud their dedication to ensuring that this program runs smoothly each year. So thank you for your partnership. I'm really looking forward to this process with you. So on behalf of the entire council, I welcome you, artists. I'm glad you are here, and I'm grateful for your interest in this program. Back to you, Jackie.
Awesome. Thanks, Steph. Before we jump in, we just respectfully ask that you save your questions until the end. We will make sure that we get to everyone's questions at that time. Also want to note that we'll publicly post a recording of this webinar along with the transcript following today's presentation. And also, just in case you only need a refresher about how to navigate the application system, we also have a 10-minute quick start tutorial video that's available on Mid-Atlantic Arts website and YouTube as well. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera off in hopes that it will help us run a little bit smoother with this presentation. And we'll kind of jump right in. So before we get into specific eligibility requirements, I'd like to provide an overview of how this program works. So individual arts fellowships are awarded based on work that applicants have already created. In the application and program rules and instructions that we'll be discussing today, you'll notice that you'll be asked to submit examples of your work from the past 4 years. In order to be eligible for the program, you must be able to submit work that falls within the parameters of one of the categories offered during this current round. The completed work samples that you submit in your application will be evaluated through a peer review panel process. And if you're recommended to receive a fellowship based on those evaluations, you will receive a cash award that is almost entirely unrestricted. What this means is that you can use that funding for almost any purpose which helps support you in your work. For example, you could apply in sculpture and if awarded, use that funding for sculpting supplies or to help support a filmmaking or interdisciplinary project, or even to help cover your rent so that you have more time to focus on your artistic pursuits. Many people are familiar with project grants where you submit a proposal and receive funding to execute a specific idea or concept that you'd like to work on in the future. But for the fellowships, however, you only need to submit eligible examples of your past work, even if you don't have a specific project in mind for the fellowship funding. Moreover, fellowship recipients have almost complete flexibility to use the funding in a way that works for them. The individual artist fellowships are offered in a broad range of visual, literary, and performing arts categories. Different categories are offered each year, and as noted in the program rules and instructions, and as Steph just mentioned, we run on a 2-year category rotation schedule. So this means that applicants have the opportunity to apply to the fellowships more regularly. The categories being offered for the 2025 award cycle will be choreography, crafts, music composition, photography, playwriting/screenwriting, poetry, and sculpture. Only applications in these categories will be accepted for the 2025 fellowships. You may submit 1 application in a single category per year. If your work doesn't fall under one of these categories, we invite you to see the program rules and instructions for the full category rotation schedule and apply under the appropriate award category in a future program year. The application deadline for the 2025 individual artist fellowships will be 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, July 16th. Please, please, please be sure to plan ahead and contact us well in advance of the deadline if you need any assistance. And please also feel free to reach out to Mid-Atlantic Arts if you're experiencing any issues accessing the application. So recipients are selected through a competitive evaluation process based on examples of the work they submit in the application. Fellowship applications are reviewed by independent panels of peer evaluators composed of artists and arts professionals with expertise in a specific discipline they are reviewing. The recipients of individual artist fellowships are decided solely on artistic quality as demonstrated by the work samples submitted with the artist application. It's also important to note that applications are reviewed anonymously. Panelists will not have access to your information as they are reviewing the work. The anonymous review process helps ensure that panelists are not influenced by name recognition or the previous accomplishments, education, or employment of the applicant. There is no award quota for artistic discipline or style. Fellowships are awarded to those applicants who demonstrate the highest artistic quality regardless of discipline. So at the end of the evaluation process, the State Arts Council staff combines all the application scores across every discipline offered that year and creates a funding scenario that awards the top scoring applications. In terms of how the funding can be used, the amount of the award is determined annually by the State Arts Council from funding provided through the New Jersey Hotel Motel Tax. Fellowship awards have ranged in the past from $3,850 to $32,000. As I mentioned, fellowships are not project-based, so the funds are not earmarked for any specific purpose other than to help support the recipient. Artists may use the fellowship awards to purchase supplies, participate in a workshop, rent studio space, or pay their mortgage, obtain childcare, or generally use the funding to free their time, among many, many other possibilities. The only limitations are that fellowship funds may not be used for travel outside of the country, for study as a matriculated student in a graduate or undergraduate program, or to purchase permanent equipment, which we define as equipment with a resale value exceeding $350 or a lifespan of over 3 years. To be considered eligible to apply for a fellowship, applicants must be permanent residents of the state of New Jersey. The applicant must be a current permanent New Jersey resident at the time of application and at the time of award, which will take place in March 2025. This means that if the applicant moves out of state after the application has been submitted, but prior to being awarded a grant, they are no longer considered eligible. Awarded fellows will be asked to supply 2 forms of verification with their name and home address, such as a driver's license or ID card, utility bills, pay stub, lease or mortgage statement, bank account statement, or the like. The full list of acceptable forms of residency verification is available on the rules and instructions. Applicants must be age 18 or older, and must be the artist whose original artwork is represented in the submitted work samples. There are also some limitations about who may apply to this program. The following individuals are not eligible to apply. Any artist who received a New Jersey State Council on the Arts fellowship in any category in 2024, 23, 22, 21, or 20 are not eligible to apply for the current year. If you received a finalist award, you are able to reapply, but if you received a fellowship in any of the previous 5 years, you are not eligible to apply for the current year. Applicants may not be matriculated students in a graduate, undergraduate, or high school program at the time of application or award. Fellowships may not provide funding for scholarships or academic study in pursuit of a degree. Collaborating New Jersey artists are also not eligible to submit a joint application for collaborative work. The applicant artist must have sole creative control over all work submitted to the fellowship program under their name. In addition to meeting applicant eligibility, all work samples submitted for consideration must meet a general set of eligibility criteria regardless of the medium. These require that all work samples must have been produced within the eligible timeframe outlined by discipline in the program guidelines. The work completed while the applicant was a matriculated student in a graduate, undergraduate, or high school program is not eligible. Works in progress and project proposals are not considered eligible. For the purposes of this program, complete is considered to be the point at which the work is ready for public presentation unless otherwise noted in the rules and instructions. As I mentioned previously, to help ensure that applications are reviewed solely on artistic quality of the work submitted and not on the previous accomplishments or identity of the artist, the New Jersey State Council on the Arts has made the application review process anonymous for panelists. Accordingly, applicants may not include identifying or biographical information in their work samples in the work sample files or on the work sample page of the application, including information such as, but not limited to, the artist's name or signature, identifying initials or symbols, professional affiliations, and biographical information may render the application ineligible. If it is not possible for this type of identifying information to be edited out of the work sample, it cannot be submitted as part of the application. We also want you to keep in mind that there are specific technical requirements for work submitted to this program. These requirements help with the consistency, but are also necessary to make sure the work samples submitted are compatible with the review software used by panelists. In almost every case, it is possible to convert whatever files you have available, but we urge you to plan ahead when preparing your work samples for submission. We also have an extensive work sample prep guide available on the Mid-Atlantic Arts website, which includes links to free online conversion resources and answers to many frequently asked questions. For those of you who may have applied with our e-grant system in the past, you may notice that we are able to offer a little more flexibility with the SmartSimple system now, so please do revisit these requirements in the rules and instructions. Works purely generated through AI are not eligible for submission, as the artist must have sole creative control over the conceptualization and implementation of the submitted work. Projects that utilize AI as part of a generative process, but where the artist retains creative control of the finished work, are eligible. If an AI-powered tool was used as part of the creative process, artists should disclose which tool was used and how in the technical information space of the application. All applicants, regardless of discipline, will be given space in the application to address the following optional prompt. Is there any other cultural context you want to provide for the panelists to help them better understand the work submitted in this application? Contextualizing your submitted work in terms of its relationship to cultural identity may help support your application. If it is necessary for the full reception and understanding of the work you are submitting, you are encouraged to share a brief statement regarding your cultural background and identity and how it's integral to your work. This may include discussing the following: race, ethnicity, heritage, gender, sexual orientation, disability, religion, cultural traditions, historical context, regionality, or community of origin. We are not accepting standard artist statements, but rather statements that help panelists understand the role and/or relevance of cultural identity as it relates to the work you are applying with. The inclusion of this statement is optional and is considered secondary to the work samples themselves. Previous panelists have expressed that cultural context statements are often helpful in providing a useful frame of reference for reviewing submitted work samples. So if you feel the addition of such a statement is not relevant to your submitted work, you are not required to include one. Artists who choose to submit a statement for the panel should be aware that the response may not include biographical or identifying information, and applicants are limited to 250 words. Acceptable topics to address in the cultural context statement, again, are listed on the slide here. And that's if you feel that these are relevant for understanding your work. We ask again that your cultural context statement does not include your legal or artist name, contact information, including personal details, social media handles, or agent or media contacts. Any biographical information that could be found in your CV or resume, such as your exhibition, performance, or publication history, educational background, information about former or current employment, details about awards, fellowships, grants, or residencies. Should not include details about exhibition, performance, or publication of the submitted work. Any indication, hinted or overt, about the applicant's age, experience level, or where the applicant is in their career. So for instance, please avoid writing something like, I've been practicing for 30 years, or after recently graduating from this university. Should not include links to external sources of any kind, such as websites or press interviews. It should not include any direct appeals to the panel. Again, this is not a project proposal-based grant, so there's no need to add what you might use the funding for if you should receive an award. You should not include your personal or financial circumstances or artistic philosophy. In addition to general work sample eligibility and technical specifications for work samples, each category has specific requirements for the work samples depending on the medium. We're going to quickly review what those are for each category, but again, please be sure to review the program rules and instructions before you submit an application. We also strongly encourage applicants to use the program rules and instructions as a checklist as they go through the application to make sure that they're meeting all the requirements for their category. And we're going to start with choreography, and I'm going to pass it over to Steph.
Thank you, Jackie. So, choreography. This category accepts choreography in all styles of dance, as well as other types of artistic performance with coordinated movement. This category does not accept choreographic films, which can be submitted in the film, video, or interdisciplinary category next year. Video demonstrating 1 to 2 samples of the application original choreographic work must be uploaded into the online application. Applicants have the option to submit either 1 longer work sample or 2 shorter work samples. If submitting 2 work samples, each uploaded video file has a maximum time limit of 5 minutes and may not exceed 250 megabytes. If submitting 1 work sample, the uploaded video file has a maximum time limit of 10 minutes and may not exceed 500 megabytes. Each uploaded recording should represent 1 choreographed performance. Applicants should also be prepared to supply the following information about each work sample in the online application: the title of the work, length of the full work, the month and year the work was completed. If the performance being submitted is longer than 5 or 10 minutes, respectively, applicants may choose to either submit a portion of the full work or create a video of excerpts from throughout the performance in order to meet the time limit requirements. The choreography shown in the work sample must have been completed after July 14, 2020. Only work choreographed by the applicant artist may be shown in the recording. Recordings of staged productions are not required. Works performed and recorded in a studio or other context are also acceptable. Let's get into crafts. This category accepts work in all forms of functional and non-functional craft objects, including those made of ceramics, glass, wood, metal, fiber, textiles, and recycled materials. Applicants will be provided with space to upload 4 to 6 digital images or short video clips of their original work in the online application. Either an image or video file will be accepted for each upload. Video may be submitted as documentation for work that physically moves, operates, or is received by the viewer in a way that cannot be shown through images alone. Applicants may submit any combination of images and video that best represents their work within the space allotted in the application. Applicants may submit both image and video documentation of the same work. It is strongly recommended that at least 4 individual pieces of work are represented in your application if feasible. Do not submit more than 6 total examples of your work. And all work samples must have been created after July 14, 2020. If submitting video as work sample documentation, each video clip must be no longer than 1 minute in length and no larger than 100 megabytes. Only one work sample should be documented in each video. Video may only provide documentation of the submitted work samples. Do not submit promotional videos, still images presented as a slideshow, interviews with the artist, or other commentary that provides interpretation of the work. Applicants should also be prepared to supply the following information about each work sample in the online application: the title of the work, medium, the dimensions, month and year of completion. Applicants should describe the production techniques, materials, and technical processes related to the creation of the work samples in the technical information section of the online application. Music composition. This category accepts composition in all styles of classical, popular, jazz, hip-hop, and folk music, noise, and experimental sound, and original music composed for theater. 1 to 2 examples of the applicant's original compositional work must be uploaded into the online application. Applicants have the option to submit either 1 longer work sample or 2 shorter work samples. If submitting 2 work samples, each uploaded audio file has a maximum time limit of 5 minutes and may not exceed the 250 megabytes. If submitting 1 work sample, the uploaded audio file has a maximum time limit of 10 minutes and may not exceed 500 megabytes. Each uploaded recording should represent 1 song composition. If the song/composition being submitted is longer than 5 or 10 minutes, respectively, applicants may choose to either submit a portion of the full work or edit together excerpts from throughout the recording in order to meet the time limit requirements. All songs/compositions must have been completed after July 14, 2020. Only work composed by the applicant artist may be heard in the recordings. Studio, live, and recordings of the song/compositions are all considered eligible. Do not submit works in which the lyrics reference your name/artist name. Applicants are encouraged to upload a score, lead sheet, or other written notation for each uploaded song/composition in the online application for the panelist reference. The score must be submitted as a PDF document. All pages of the score should be numbered. The score must be fully legible, particularly if the document has been scanned. Additionally, applicants should be prepared to supply the following information about each song/composition in the online application. Please submit the title of the work, length of the full work, and the month and year the work was completed. Photography. This category accepts analog and digital photography, as well as works where photographic techniques are pivotal. 4 to 6 digital images of the applicant's original work must be uploaded into the online application. It is strongly recommended that at least 4 photographs or individual works are represented in your application if feasible. Do not submit more than 6 examples of your work. All work samples must have been completed after July 14, 2020. For the purpose of this program, completed means the date on which the photograph took its final form, date of capture for digital photography, or date of processing for a photographic print. Applicants should be prepared to supply the following information about each work sample in the online application: title of the work sample, medium, dimensions in feet, inches, if applicable. Dimensions are not required for digital photography. Month and year of completion. And applicants should also describe the production techniques, materials, and technical processes related to the creation of the work samples in the technical information section of the online application. Poetry. So this category accepts all forms of written poetry. A manuscript of the applicant's original poetry must be uploaded into the online application. The manuscript must contain 5 to 15 pages of original poetry by the applicant artist. Each page should only contain 1 poem. Longer poems may continue on to multiple pages, but do not put multiple short poems on 1 page. Each poem must be clearly labeled with a title. All poems in the manuscript must have been created after July 14, 2020. And all work samples must be submitted in English. Authors may translate their own work into English if original written in a different language. English translations of work by authors other than the applicant and translations of the applicant's work by someone other than the applicant are not permitted. The manuscript must be formatted according to the following specifications. Formatted for a standard 8.5 by 11 page size, 1-inch page margins. Text must be a standard, easy to read font like Times New Roman, Calibri, in 11 or 12-point size. Title pages may only serve as a table of contents for the submitted poems. Title pages will not be factored into the page count. Pages must be numbered, preferably in the lower right-hand corner of each page. There are no restrictions regarding line spacing. Single, double, and shaped spacing are acceptable as long as all other formatting and page length requirements are met. In case where accompanying images are integral to the understanding of the written work, the applicant may include illustrations or images in their manuscript. Please note, however, that only the applicant's written work will be evaluated. The applicant must provide a photo credit or credits for the images in the manuscript, or note that the images were created by the applicant to protect their anonymity. Stock photos, clip art, and other images that identify the applicant or are intended to embellish the manuscript will not be accepted. Additionally, applicants should be prepared to supply the following information about the manuscript in the online application. Please include title, use the name of the first submitted poem as the title of your manuscript. Length of the manuscript Number of pages submitted, minimum 5 to 15 pages. And also include the month and year the collection of poems was completed. Select the completion date of the most recent poem, noting that all poems in the manuscript must have been created after July 14, 2020. Playwriting/screenwriting. This category accepts scripts written for stage or screen. One complete script must be uploaded into the online application. The uploaded script must have been completed after July 14, 2020. Panelists will be asked to read at least the first 15 pages, with the option to continue reading the remainder of the script. Scripts may be under 15 pages in length, but be no shorter than 5 pages. Adaptations or translations of other works are not permitted. All work samples must be submitted in English. Authors may translate their own work into English if original written in a different language. English translations of work by authors other than the applicant and translations of the applicant's work by someone other than the applicant are not permitted. Do not submit works in progress. Outlines or individual acts of unfinished multi-act plays are not eligible. The manuscript must be formatted according to the following specifications. Formatted for a standard 8.5 by 11 page size, 1-inch page margins. Text must be a standard, easy to read font, like Times New Roman or Calibri, in 11 or 12-point size. Please include the title pages will be accepted, but may only serve as a table of contents. Pages must be numbered, preferably in the lower right-hand corner of each page. There are no restrictions on line spacing. Single or double spacing are acceptable as long as all other formatting requirements are met. Pages must be numbered, preferably in the lower right-hand corner of each page. Scripts must be text only. Scripts may not. Pages must not, script may not contain images or illustrations. Sorry about that. Applicants should be prepared to supply the following information about each work sample in the online application. Please include title of the work, length of the script in pages, the month and year the script was completed, a short 2 to 3 sentence synopsis of the submitted script. Do not include information such as the locations of staged performances or publications slash production details. Okay, sculpture. All forms of static and kinetic sculpture, as well as installations and three-dimensional public art. Applicants will be provided with space to upload 4 to 6 digital images or short video clips of their original work in the online application. Either an image or video file will be accepted for each upload. The video may be submitted as documentation for work that physically moves, operates, or is received by the viewer in a way that cannot be shown through images alone. Applicants may submit any combination of images and video that best represents their work within the space allotted in the application. Applicants may submit both image and video documentation of the same work. It is strongly recommended that at least 4 individual pieces of work are represented in your application if feasible. Do not submit more than 6 total examples of your work. And again, all work samples must have been created after July 14, 2020. If submitting video has work sample documentation, each video clip must be no longer than 1 minute in length and no larger than 100 megabytes. Only one work sample should be documented in each video. Video may only provide documentation of the submitted work samples. Do not submit promotional videos, still images presented as a slideshow, interviews with the artist, or other commentary that provides interpretation of the work. Applicants should also be prepared to supply the following information about each work sample in the online application. Please submit the title of the work sample, medium, dimensions, month and year of completion. Applicants should also describe the production techniques, materials, and technical processes related to the creation of the work sample in the technical information section of the online application. Back to you, Jackie.
Thanks, Steph. So before we begin the demo of the application, I just want to kind of reiterate a couple of important points about the work samples that you will be submitting. Again, it may be a little bit repetitive, but these are the most recurring issues that we come across when we are reviewing applications. So important to remember to keep your work samples and work sample information anonymous. Be sure to carefully review your work samples and the file properties for any identifying or biographical information and make sure that it's been removed. Again, for the purposes of this program, identifying and biographical information include the list of bullet points that are on this slide here, from your legal or artist's name, contact information, information that can be found on a CV or resume, details about performances, exhibitions, publications, etc. A reminder again that your work samples should be completed work. Please do not submit project proposals or works in progress. Again, you should only be submitting your original work. Collaborative work or any work over which you did not have sole creative control is considered ineligible. If you have recently completed a course of study, make sure you're not submitting work that you created while you were a matriculated student. So now that we have reviewed the eligibility requirements, I'm just going to switch views here so that we can give a demonstration of the actual online application. Give me 1 second. All right, and then can Steph, can you just verify that you can see the screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. So the direct URL to the online application is midatlanticarts.smartsimple.com. That link is available on Mid-Atlantic Arts website, where the rules and instructions are for this program. So the first thing you'll want to do is open your internet browser and simply type that address into the bar at the top of the page, or you can follow the link from the website. You must have a SmartSimple account and be logged in order to access the application. If you have an existing account, but you can't remember your information, what you'll want to do is put in your email and click the Forgot Password button below the login fields to regain access to your account. A link where you can reset your password will be sent to the email associated with your account. If you've applied for an organizational grant through the Mid-Atlantic Arts SmartSimple system in the past year, you will still need to create a new account as an individual artist, or else the New Jersey opportunity will not show up when you log in if you're set up as an organization and not an individual. To create an account, if you need to create a new one, you'll just click the register button under the login fields to get started, which takes you to this. Again, applicants for the Individual Artist Fellowship Program must register as individual artists to continue. So that's this one. And then on this next page, you'll enter information and provide an email address for the account. We strongly recommend registering your individual artist account with a personal email address rather than a business one. This is especially important if your business email is associated with an organization that might apply for grant funding through Mid-Atlantic Arts in the future. I've already registered with an email address for today's demonstration, but once you complete this page and submit your registration, you'll receive an email from SmartSimple prompting you to log in and set up your account password. The link in the email will take you back to the SmartSimple website where you can set your password to finish activating your account. And then after that's all set up, you'll be directed back to this original login page where you can enter the credentials for the account that you just made. So again, for demonstration purposes, I've already registered, so I'm just going to put in my test account information. So once you're logged in, you'll be directed to a landing page that will list all the account options and grant opportunities available to individual artists. From this page, you can update your profile information, you can change your password, you can start a new application or access your in-progress applications, or check the status of a submitted application. To access the fellowship application, if you haven't started yet, you'll click funding opportunities under available applications. I already opened one, so I'm just going to click the in-progress one. On the opportunities page, it will display any opportunities that are currently open to individual artists. Other grant applications might also be listed there, but you'll want to click the Apply Now button, which will be over here on the New Jersey State Council on the Arts Individual Artist Fellowship opportunity to start your application. It's important to note that when you initially create your application, you'll want to click Save Draft at the bottom here to save a copy of the application draft to your account. And you will need to click Save Draft in order to have access to all of the necessary fields. The application itself is divided into 3 tabs, which are right here. It's applicant information, work samples, and consent. Navigating between these 3 sections is very simple. You can just click the tabs, or you can also click the next and back buttons down in the corner here. So the first section of the application is the applicant information tab. Nothing on this tab will be shared with panelists, so don't worry about including personal information here. You'll be asked for a lot of personal information on this tab. Again, panelists won't have access to any of this. The first thing you'll be prompted to do is select the category in which you are applying. I've gone ahead here and just clicked sculpture as an example. As a reminder, you may only submit 1 application in a single category per year. Some of the information you provided when registering for your SmartSimple account will automatically carry over into this tab of the application. So you're going to see that some of your information is pre-populated under the profile information header. So just review this information. If you need to make any edits, you can click here to edit profile information button, which is up here. Your account profile should pop up as a new tab or window, which can be closed as soon as you've completed making changes. And once you save the changes in your account profile, again, save the application draft to update that section. Just a note that wherever you see a little red asterisk after a field, that means the field is required. So you will need to provide information in any of those fields before the system will allow you to submit. So again, that's these little red asterisks here. That means that it's required for you to answer those. On the lower half of the page, you will provide your artist or publicity name. As noted, this is basically just the name that you prefer to use when being publicly addressed as an artist. We'll provide this information to the State Arts Council for announcements in the case that you do receive a fellowship. So you'll want to make sure that however you want to be referred to publicly is listed here under publicity or artist. You'll also be required to provide the county in which you reside. The application also asks for information about any previous New Jersey State Council on the Arts individual artist fellowships you may have won. That question is here. If you indicate that you've received a fellowship in the past, it will also ask you for the year and discipline. All applicants must include a resume or biography. You can use this space to describe your educational background and professional achievements. Again, this is used for administrative purposes and will not be seen by panelists, so don't worry about anonymity here. A narrative bio is fine, a CV is fine, and just so you know, this is a rich text field, so you'll be able to edit and format that information in the application as well. There is a 2,000 word limit on this field. Also, please note that you can either copy and paste or type directly into that field, but you can't upload a document here. Finally, my session's going to expire in 30 seconds, so we'll need to log back in. But finally, the New Jersey State Council on the Arts also collects optional demographic information that provides the council with important data about the communities they serve. This information is used for analytical purposes only and will not be seen by panelists or otherwise inform the selection process. Let me just refresh this before it expires. All right, back to where we were. And so before discussing the work samples tab, it's important to understand how the application works to ensure that you're supplying the correct information. Up at the top here, like we talked about, the very first thing that it asks for is your category. The category that the applicant selects on this tab will determine what specific work sample information they're required to provide on the work samples tab. Some of you might know this as conditional formatting, but it basically just allows applicants to see the information that's relevant for them, depending on the category that they're applying to. So because we're offering several different categories this year, and they each look a little bit different depending on those category specific requirements we reviewed, I'm just going to demonstrate how to generally upload your work samples and complete the next tab of the application. Again, if you're just starting application, please make sure that you choose your discipline and click Save Draft. That is what's going to determine what comes up on your work samples tab. As we talked about, different categories require different things. So for sculpture, if I now go to the work samples tab, you'll see that it's asking me to upload picture or video files. If I had chosen poetry, for instance, it would be asking for a PDF file. If I had chosen music composition, it'd be asking for an MP3. So all that to say, please make sure that first thing you do on the applicant information tab is choose your discipline and save the draft so that you have the correct work samples page. So when I click over to the work samples tab and I've selected sculpture as my category, the work samples tab will provide some instructions for submitting in this category. Again, keep in mind it will look different if you're submitting in a different category. I want to remind everyone again that anonymity is a cornerstone of the fellowships program, so it's extremely important that you remove any identifying or biographical information from anything that is included in this work samples tab. As a general rule, anything that could be listed in your resume should be omitted from this section of the application. Moving down the page, the first requirement will be a work sample file upload. Categories that collect image, audio, and video work samples will use the media library function, which allows you to upload multiple files into your application at once. So that button will be underneath the instructions here, where it says browse files. And once you click that button, you'll see the types of files that are allowed. In this case, we have image and video files. The max file size limit for each upload and the maximum number of files is listed there as well. When you click this browse button, you can locate the files on your computer. You can select the desired files. Again, I'm just choosing random example photos of my dog, and then click open. And your work samples will now be added to your media library. The upload speed, just so you know, will depend on your personal internet connection as well as the size of the files. So oftentimes, if you are uploading a video file, it may take a couple minutes longer than a photo file. Now your work samples will be added to your media library. You can actually preview the images by clicking on the thumbnails, and it will give you a larger size version to look at. If you're submitting video or audio files as part of your category requirements, please note that the upload, again, may take several minutes to process. You should be able to play those back for review before you submit your application, just to make sure that they are working. The application will also collect specific information about each work sample upload. To edit this information in the media library, you'll want to click the Edit Metadata button, which is right here. It says Properties. And you'll complete these fields as prompted. The top of the Edit Metadata window will just list some basic information about the file. Under the work sample information section, you'll be prompted to include some additional details about that work sample. So again, here for sculpture, for instance, we're asked to upload a title, the medium, the dimensions, if applicable, date of completion, and technical information that is necessary. Again, the information that's collected here may look different depending on your category. Once you've entered that field, you'll want to click the Save button. And then again, it's always safe to click the Save Draft button once you've added something new. Please note that if you're applying in the poetry or playwriting, screenwriting categories, you'll just have a simple file upload field and will enter the information about your work sample into the form as prompted without needing to click an Edit Metadata button. So if you are applying in one of the literary arts categories, you do not need to worry about this quote unquote metadata. There will be fields for you to fill in the information needed. Below the section where you upload your work samples, all applicants will see an optional field to provide a cultural context statement. As a reminder, this field is limited to 250 words. The directions of what is allowed to be included here and not allowed is listed, and then you'll find the box right here. And then at the very bottom of the work samples tab, you'll also be asked 2 questions that are intended to help verify that you've completed all the necessary fields and that the information submitted in this tab of the application is anonymous. So once you've uploaded your work samples and filled in all the related information for the category, all applicants will be required to provide their consent, which is on this 3rd tab that is literally called consent. So this just consents to the terms and conditions of the New Jersey State Council on the Arts Individual Artist Fellowships Program. You'll need to review the information provided and then click the I have read and agree to the statements listed above. It's this little checkbox here. You must click this checkbox in order to submit your application. Applicants who do not agree with the terms and conditions are not considered eligible and will not be allowed to submit their application. Important, helpful note here. If you have a question or need technical assistance as you're completing your application, you can click on the Notes tab on the left-hand side of the page, which looks like this. And if you press this little plus button, you can add a new note and write a message directly to Mid-Atlantic Arts staff, which means staff or I will receive it. If you type it in and click save there, it will share the note with us. And when we respond, you'll be notified by email, and our message will pop up here in the notes section as well. So it's kind of there for easy reference. You can then click the main tab to return to the actual application. So finally, when you're all set, you've reviewed everything carefully and you're ready to submit, you can click the submit button at the bottom of the page. If you've missed a required field, of which I have missed a few, and errors are found, you'll see this red error box at the top of the page. So this one tells me specifically I'm missing a resume and a bio. I didn't answer the flashing strobe light trigger warning question. I'm not going to go back in and fill everything in right now, but you may see those reminders if there's something that you missed. So if everything is verified, the application will confirm that you're ready to submit, and you can complete the submission process then. Once the application has been submitted, please note that you'll no longer be able to make any changes. So again, we really encourage you to review your information carefully prior to clicking that submit button. If you're unsure of the eligibility requirements, please review the rules and instructions and contact Mid-Atlantic Arts prior to submitting the application. If you successfully submit your application, you'll receive a confirmation message in SmartSimple, as well as an automatically generated confirmation email. No further actions are required at that point. It could take several minutes for that confirmation email to be sent after submission, and it is unfortunately common that it goes to your junk or spam folder. So if you're not seeing it, you might want to check there. And then finally, I'll note that submitting your application means that you filled in all the required information and provided the correct work sample file types, but it does not necessarily mean that you have met all of the eligibility and technical requirements. So we try to provide some reminders throughout the application, but it's ultimately up to the applicant to make sure that they are following the rules and instructions. Before we wrap up the demonstration, one other thing I'd just like to reiterate is that you do not need to complete the application all at once. Applicants can fill out a portion of the application and log back in at a later time, and that saved information will still be there for you. You can also access but not edit your submitted application from the home page. So again, if you've just logged in, it's that landing page where you first arrived. And then again, under my applications, you'll see I have one application draft in progress. After my application has been submitted, it will be moved to this section where it says submitted. And it can also be accessed there to see what you filled out. And then after the fellowships have been awarded and notifications have been sent, you'll also be able to see that information under the approved/declined section. So with that, I will close out SmartSimple. So yeah, before we jump into questions, again, just a reminder that Mid-Atlantic Arts administers the application submission and review process on behalf of the State Council on the Arts. And so we're here to help you through the application process. So we encourage you to reach out with questions regarding the program rules and instructions, the application process, technical issues. Any of those questions or issues can be directed to me or to Steph Reyes. You can reach both of us at this fellowships email that's at the bottom of the screen there, fellowships@midatlanticarts.org. Our phone number and extension is there as well. I will share that it's typically a quicker response if it's email, but we will get back to you whether it's email or a phone call. And just want to also remind folks that we are available during regular business hours, and only until 5 p.m. on the day of the deadline. So we do want to mention that applicants receive assistance from us on a first come, first served basis. And we would like everyone to just be aware that the demand increases significantly shortly before the deadline. So please be in touch as early in the application process as possible, to make sure that we can get back to you in a timely fashion. Just important to note that we are receiving hundreds and hundreds of applications, and so waiting till the last minute to ask a question is not ideal. But we do our best to answer and help out.